English General Dictation 100 word per minute. Ready, start. Secondly, if you compare the percentage of students going in for higher education in science and arts, you will observe that the percentage of those who are going in for science is still not as much as has been recommended by the Education Commission, and I entirely agree with the recommendations of the Commission in this regard. Therefore, there is a great deal of need for proper planning of higher education, and I hope that the Planning Commission will be taking up the matter in consultation with the Ministry of Education, the UGC, the state governments, and that this would depend on the tempo of economic development and change. Sir, looking at the clock, I am a little worried, but I would, if I may, take another 10 minutes to explain what the government is attempting to do in the field of primary education, which has been emphasized so much by many honorable members, and, in my opinion, quite rightly. The focus was on the removal of illiteracy and giving primary education a new direction. Para. Sir, the main point which we should all remember is that the percentage appealing figure of illiteracy has risen because we were unable to enroll all children in the age group of 6-11 in the primary schools, and even where we did succeed in enrolling them, they drop off from schools, unusually after 1 year. If this had not been happening usually over a large number of years, the present figure of illiteracy would not have been as high as it is today. If we make an analysis of those who are not yet going today to the elementary schools in the age group of 6-11 years, we will find that the greatest shortfall is among girls, among the scheduled caste, among the scheduled tribes, as the two honorable members quite rightly pointed out, among those who want their children to add to the family income. Therefore, we have to provide for 110% enrollment because that seems to be the objective, because there would always be in villages people who do not remember their ages. There would be some a little below, a few would continue after that age, and then there would be shortfalls occasionally, and if I may say so, our statistics given by village schools are not exactly as accurate as the figures given by a computer. Therefore, we must plan for 110% enrollment in the schools in the villages. Para. Now, this involves a new strategy. We have to take into account all the suggestions that have been made. For example, Sri Menon said that the timing of certain schools must be changed. We should also think in terms of providing part-time education where it is impossible to provide whole-time education. A flexible approach is needed. Then we must utilize the resources locally available In a village, for example, there are many retired persons who are interested to teach. Anyway, let me not transgress the limit from the education point of view. I am just coming to it. I say, please give me one taluka or one district, and I will see that the money spent on education in a particular place under a particular taluka within 10 years give you a benefit of 10%. Let us have an experiment. I have been saying this from 1948. If you want, I will show you a copy of it, which I sent to Pandit Nehru, who was then the Prime Minister, and to the Education Minister as well as others. Let us try to be practical in approach. Para. Coming to elementary education, have we succeed in it? Is it not a directive principle of state policy to provide elementary education to all? We have passed 22 years, and have we succeeded in it? Is it not very shameful for us that even now the percentage of literacy is barely 37%? These days, the attendance in the elementary schools is between 40 to 60 per teacher. If anybody or any officer sees this and still keeps quiet when a teacher has 40 pupils to teach, he should be either a dunce or a crook or a misfit in the society. Para. In elementary education, the maximum a teacher can handle is not more than 15 or 20. It can increase afterwards. The foundation has to be stronger in the beginning stages. I request the minister to spend any amount for elementary education, but not to allow more pupils in a class. He should see if it is not possible for us to fix up an average attendance by 15 or 20 for a teacher up to the third standard, and afterwards it can go to 15 to 30. In high schools, it can go up to 40. I know a number of classes having more than 80 students in a class. What can you call it? Expect a flock. Para. Coming to high school education, the best type of education that our country needs and could have been benefited by was basic education involved by Mahatma Gandhi. How far we have succeeded in it, and have we been influenced in implementing it? We have simply spoiled the very root of the principle here. In countries like Germany or Russia and other socialist countries, the work-oriented education is paying the dividend in hundreds and thousands. Here, if a boy passes his matriculation or BA, he feels he should what you pay to a graduate or an IAS, and then more people will go for a work-oriented education. Then people would like to work in the field and industries. Para. Coming to the colleges, people are enormous to start colleges and open universities, forgetting that each college needs a principal and each university needs a vice chancellor who travel everywhere. Para, we can utilize the services of volunteers, fresh graduates, and we should work out a scheme to employ them at a fairly large scale graduates as volunteers who would be going to the villages and working in what village schools. For example, senior students, high school students, college students coming back to the villages during vacations can be utilized for this purpose. Their services can be utilized. We can organize camps where the students are living in their small hamlets and a big and proper school cannot be provided to them. Then we can take these children to the camps, maybe a 1 day camp or a 2 day camp once a month to the nearest good school where they can be exposed to proper schooling. And the second strategy that we should think of is to go in for the concept of community school. Our concept of community school is that the school would be, in a sense, the center of community life. To this would be attached a balwadi for the children because so far as girls are concerned, most of the older girls have their responsibilities of looking after younger children. So, if there is a good balwadi, then the younger children could be brought there, could be bathed there, could be given one meal. This ministry has a scheme of nutrition program for the little children. They can be provided with one meal, and many of those older girls who could learn how to look after the younger babies under the guidance of some teacher, and this would be a good training for them, and this would be a part of their work experience as well as their social service. We want also that these schools should be the center of adult education. By adult education, I am really thinking of the youths, especially between the ages of 14 to 23. While I recognize that we must think of everybody, I feel that we should leave to the voluntary agencies the responsibility for educating all those who are above 23 years. We should also try to use the mass media and providing education for those who are above 23. But we must concentrate in a very big way on the age group of 15 to 23 years who are out of schools but who should be provided with physical culture, with recreation, as well as with literacy and continuing education. We should also mobilize those forces for various social service activities and utilize all the various ways and techniques of giving them real education, exposing them to museums, science museums, cultural museums, organize mobile laboratories, take them to see mobile laboratories, explain the modern scientific principles explain the main features of India art and sculpture and so on so that they can develop a sense of identify with our national tradition as well as with modernity and a modern outlook. I am also keen what present complete compartment should be ended. Para, sir, we have lived our lives in whatever way we have been able to live, but we have to see to the future generations that they grow up as useful citizens and they do their best for the benefit of the country, for the progress of the country, and for the secular and other ideals that we want to inculcate in our constitution. There are children who have no food. They do not have enough food. They do not have enough clothes. They do not have enough education. The directive principle of our Constitution has directed us that the education of our children should be free and compulsory up to the age of 14. Now it has been reduced to all 10 years. I would like to know in how many states this is happening. Even in the most advanced states, at the primary school stage, only 78% of the people of school going age have been covered. The children are not able to go to school. In my own state, the state government has made it compulsory and free, but the rural children are not able to take advantage of it for two reasons. First, they have to earn their living, and secondly, perhaps they are not socially conscious of going to school. Motivation is required in this, and as my previous speaker has said, the problem would have been much less in all directions if we had paid more attention to our population control program some years back. Therefore, the programs has now to be stepped up. It has to be taken to the villages. It has to be taken to the areas which are overpopulated, and it has to be taken to the population that is not healthy, that is not able to look after itself, live alone, looking after their children. Therefore, the program of population control is very important, and it should be taken to the villages, to the rural people by all means that is available to us. Para. Then I come to adult education. Our illiteracy rate is very high. Even in smaller countries like Cuba and Iran, through Iran is not so small country, they have been able to make their people literate up to 78% of their population. We should take lessons from them. We should devote more time, more attention to this matter. Voluntary organizations also should come forward, and our center should pay more attention to it so that they can make our people literate in whatever way that is possible in the villages. It is the village population that is important because we are in a democratic country, and our democracy cannot go on working if the people who are participating in it are not literate, not educated, not conscious of their rights and privileges, and at the same time their duties to themselves and to the community and to the country. Therefore, I emphasize that the center should pay more attention to education. Para, you should not allow anybody to be a director of any education department either here or in the states unless he holds their doctorates. That is the kind of thing. But even officers begin to tell lies. I will not tolerate even a single person telling lies, and even the directors tell lies. They see the schools and tell lies. Not only that, their lower officers also tell lies. That is the type of things that we have. There is notorious director of general education in my state who is teaching lies to officers, who says that a school which is running for 15 years is not paying. I am saying this is on the floor of the house. Then there are any number of such people. If they are well educated, they will not stoop to low levels. Supposing one holds their 4 degrees, he will not stoop to low levels because he go anywhere. Every university wants to start colleges in every place. I say for university education up to graduation, let people open any number of colleges, but after graduation for postgraduate studies and research, there should be only one in every state, or two, or at the most three. Do not allow every college to have postgraduate teaching and frustrate its funds and frustrate its energies. I would request the Honorable Minister of Education to kindly see that he appoints a committee of member of parliament to go into the working of elementary education, high school education, college education, university education, technical education, and adult education in institutions run by government as well as private institution. You should not curb the selfless service of private school and colleges that are rendering great service in this country and saving a lot of money for the government. Para, another point I want to say is that I have been asking for a central university for the south. Central universities are there only in the north. For the last 4 years, I have been asking for a central university. In fact, the then Minister Dr. V.K.R.V. Rao promised to give one. Now, a reasonable person has become minister. They are going to set up one for a small state like Pondicherry. I would request the honorable minister to give us first a central university. I tell you, a central university in Tamil Nadu will be able to give greater service to Pondicherry and to other southern states. So the central university should be given to us. Let the Honorable Minister promise on the floor of the House. Para. On the question of deterioration in education, quite honestly, I am prepared to accept a blanket charge that there is a deterioration in the quality of education. What I would concede is that there has been a very vast increase in enrollment at all stages of education, and the extent to which we have been able to balance the increase in enrollment with increase in equipment. Para. As far as Delhi is concerned, I would like to tell the House that as soon as this bill is passed by both the houses, we will introduce universal education for both sexes, for girls as well as for boys, and gradually for the whole areas of Delhi. Now, sir, I think my friend raised the question with regard to primary education, that it should be imparted in the mother tongue of the child, that provision should be made in the bill to that effect. While it is true that in some of the education acts there is provision for teaching through the mother tongue of the child, we, however, did not consider it necessary to make that provision in this bill, because in the Constitution we have an article, Article 350A, which provides that the state shall endeavour to provide primary education in the mother tongue of the child. In view of this constitutional provision, it was not considered necessary to make this provision here. As far as Delhi is concerned, I would further like to say that there is in this compilation town there are various schools run by different communities imparting education through different mother tongues. Already there is provision for teaching in Hindi, for teaching in Urdu, and I said there are private schools where instructions are already being imparted through the various regional languages. I think it was my friend who objected to the words primary education and said that government were indifferent to basic education, and he said that we were creating a confusion in that direction. Para. Sir, the expression primary education has been used because that is the word that has been used in the Constitution, and as far as basic education is concerned, it is a pattern, and it will be our continuous endeavor to introduce basic education gradually in all the institutions. I do not think there can be any objection to the use of the expression primary education, because that is actually the word that has been used in the Constitution. I am afraid he was not right when he said that the bill was not educative and that greater emphasis was being given to penalize the parents. Sir, if he would look into the bill, he would find that efforts are to be made to contact the parents again and again. Para. Sir, in spite of the efforts of the government, education continues to suffer from many shortfalls and maladies. We have miserably failed to provide social education to the people as well as to provide universal education to all our children in the age group of 6 to 14. This constitutional directive is not likely to be fulfilled even by the end of the fifth plan or the sixth plan. There are more illiterates in India today than there were in 1951. Secondly, education continues to be weakest link in our educational system. There is the position of education. Stop.